Hello and welcome back to Car News Weekly with me, your host, Blee Carswell. Just a quick reminder for those who don't know what this series is about. Well, the clue's in the name. In this series, I run through sort of 6 or 7 of my favourite car news stories from the last week. So, from a convertible SUV to a new Bugatti, let's get on with week 2. To start with is news that 10 Aston Martin Reborn DB4 GT Zagatos are nearing completion. So what is all this about? Well, as part of Aston Martin's continuation programme, which I think is a posh way of saying their official replica programme, they're building 19 GT Zagatos. They're building 19 because that's how many were built in the 60s to race against Ferraris of the period. And currently, 10 of them are nearing completion. It's a bit of an odd news story, but there's 10 in the workshop and I think it's a good photo opportunity for them. And they are gorgeous, so I thought it was worth a mention. So as I said, they are building 10 at the moment and they're all being handmade, requiring around 4,500 man hours each. The cars are built, and this is in quotation marks, using a blend of Sir David Brown era old world craftsmanship with the sympathetic application of modern engineering advancements and performance enhancements. To that end, these DB4s are going to be powered by an updated version of the 4.7 litre straight 6 found in the original. 390 brake horsepower will be sent to the rear wheels via a 4-speed manual gearbox, and he said 6-speed then, and that would have been wrong. Now these cars are built because it's to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Aston Martin and Zagato working together. Interestingly, the DB4 isn't road legal, it's sort of going to be a track toy only, but don't worry because you have to buy as a pair with a yet to be revealed DBS GT Zagato, which I assume will be road legal because it's going to be based on the DBS Superleggera. Obviously these cars are going to be stunning and the craftsmanship is going to be absolutely gorgeous at next level, so perhaps the £6 million plus taxes price tag isn't all that surprising. Right, so now on to perhaps the biggest car news from Pebble Beach this year, and that is of this new Bugatti something or other. Now honestly, I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce this, but it is the new limited edition Bugatti that is based on the Chiron. It's homage to the EB110, which is the sort of first Bugatti hypercar, and it was, well, yeah, the first modern Bugatti hypercar, and that was sort of from the 90s. So to that end, you'll see lots of styling cues on this new model, which sort of hark back to the the EB110, sorry. So you've got sort of the 5 round vents behind the window. The sort of front's quite distinctive to the 90s hypercar as well, so the headlights are tweaked, and the horseshoe, I think they call it on Bugatti, the sort of grille area, they've shrunken that as it's quite small on the EB110 as well. Now, we're not really interested in that, but we want some numbers, don't we? So 10 are going to be built. The price is going to start at £7.4 million before tax, but don't worry because they've all sold before the car was officially unveiled, so you haven't got to worry about going to the bank and asking for that money. Being based on the Chiron, it is perhaps not a surprise to see this car features the same 8 litre quad turbocharged W16 engine. Wow, it's a mad powertrain that. It develops in this 1,577 brake horsepower, which is about 100 more, I think, than you get in the Chiron, which is interesting. It also weighs 20 kilos less. So the numbers are 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.4 seconds. Outrageous. 186 miles an hour, that can be reached in 13.1 seconds, which is half a second quicker than the Chiron. And the top speed is limited to 236. That is slower than the Chiron. The Chiron is limited to 261, but who really cares at that sort of pace? Yeah, potty car, and like I say, probably the news of the week because it's a new Bugatti and they don't come around all that often. Carrying on with the Pebble Beach theme, let's take a look at a new car being announced by McLaren. Now I say take a look, they've only sort of revealed this artist sort of dark sketch thing of it, but still there's a couple of things we do know. This is going to be a limited run Speedster, and it is going to be an Ultimate Series product. So for those who don't know, McLaren tier their cars, so you can get a Sports Series, a Super Series and an Ultimate Series. Obviously with this being an Ultimate Series, it's the top sort of McLaren you can get. It is set to be priced between the Senna and the Speedtail, so the Senna is £750,000 and the Speedtail is 2.1 million quid, so obviously this isn't going to be cheap. Like I say, it's limited run, so they're going to be making 399 examples of it, and the focus for this car will be on road-focused driving pleasure and unrivaled sense of driver connection with the surrounding environment. Very exciting stuff, really. And apparently, thanks to using their signature carbon fibre construction, it'll be the lightest car they're going to make. It'll also use a tweaked version of the twin-turbo V8 engine found in the Senna. What do you think of this one? I know we've only got the sketch of it, but to me, from this sort of drawing, you can see The back half of it is very much 720S like. I know McLaren come under some stick for a lot of their cars looking the same. So do you reckon this justifies its price? Let me know below. Regardless of part sharing, I don't think it will be part sharing, but you know what I mean. Regardless of that, I do like speedster, roadster concept cars, or cars, they just look spectacular. So I'm sure this will be a beautiful looking thing regardless. So as with Audi's electric scooter in last week's episode, this one falls under the category of why are they making that? It is the VW T-Roc convertible. Now for those who don't know, the T-Roc is a crossover version of the Golf, I believe. So essentially if you want a Golf with more lifestyle, you can get a crossover version and it's called the T-Roc. But now if you want your T-Roc with more lifestyle, you can get the convertible version. Yeah, I don't really get this car, to be honest with you. Surely even somebody who's obsessed about their image on the school run, for example, can see how compromised this is as a vehicle. You've got 161 litres less boot space than you'll find in the normal T-Roc, and I think you've only got 2 seats in the back instead of 3. It just seems like an odd choice to me. And do you remember the Evoque convertible? Yeah, it's a similar sort of vibe. I think I've only ever seen 2 of those, so I don't see who's going to buy this, but apparently people will buy it because VW are going to make it. We'll see. Right, some stats. Apparently the prices are going to start at well under £30,000. You'll be able to get it at launch with one of 2 engines. Both will have turbochargers, the first being a 113 brake horsepower 1 litre 3-cylinder, and the second being a 148 brake horsepower 1.5 litre 4-cylinder. The 1 litre comes with a 6-speed manual, but the bigger engine can be optioned with a 7-speed dual clutch. Quite handily, the roof can go down in just 9 seconds at speeds of up to 19 miles an hour, so if you do need to hide from all the laughs, you can do it quite quickly. There's obviously been some tweaks to help safety as well, so you've got a reinforced windscreen and roll bar hoops that pop up behind the rear headrests, or behind the rear seats, sorry. It is a kind of a different car to the T-Roc. I think they've had to change a lot of it because it does have a longer wheelbase. What do you think of the design? Personally, I just think it looks slab-sided on the side. It just looks so flat and like it hasn't been styled. Like I say, I don't know who's going to buy this. To me, it just seems a bit ridiculous in this country because it's less practical. It's just, why would you buy it? I don't see a reason to buy this car. But anyway, next. As with last week's episode, let's go to America for some muscle-based news. So, Dodge debuts limited production 717 horsepower Daytona 50th anniversary edition on the new 2020 Charger SRT Hellcat widebody. Right, that's a bit of a mouthful. But basically, to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the legendary Charger Daytona, so that's the muscle car with the big nose and the big wing at the back, they're going to do the limited edition version of the Charger SRT Hellcat. Like I say, this is for the 50th anniversary. 501 of these are going to be built because that's how many of the original were built in order for it to compete in NASCAR. And the most obvious changes, with it being called a wide body, are on the outside. Now, I happen to think this thing looks fabulous. I'm a sort of a sucker for a wide, squat, muscular looking car, and this sort of looks the part with those wider arches that accommodate wider wheels and tyres. The warp speed alloys on it also look fabulous. They're nicely dished, and they're finished in a unique satin carbon finish. Yeah, satin carbon finish, sorry. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. Around the back you'll also see some decals that are in homage to the original. Yeah, take it or leave it on that, but I guess it's part of the limited edition thing, and like I say, it pays homage to the original. Inside you get some more generic limited edition accents. By that I mean you've got some stitching and a plaque. Well, yeah, not sort of my cup of tea, but I guess it's nice to have. Of more interest though is the engine. The 6.2 litre V8 Hemi in this has been tweaked to give you an extra 10 horsepower. So that means you've got 717 horsepower and 650 newton meters of torque. No, 650 foot-pounds of torque, sorry. Yeah, not to be sniffed at. Big fan of this one. Wish we had something that looked like this in this country, to be fair. Right, for the final story of the week, it's back to Aston Martin, and it is back to Pebble Beach, where they have revealed a service called Aston Martin Automotive Galleries and Lairs. Now, that name I sort of thought was quite amusing, because to me Lairs, it reminds me of dragons, but I guess Aston Martin have evocative names, so it kind of makes sense. But what is all this about? Well, essentially, the Aston Martin design team will work with renowned architects to produce a space that enables an owner to show off their car or their collection of cars in whichever way they want. I think, put simply, they'll build you a posh garage. That might be doing a disservice though, because it does say entire luxury homes or retreats can be created where your car takes centre stage. I find that mad. You know, you could get Aston Martin to build you a luxury home that goes with your Aston Martin Vanquish, for example. Yeah, it's mad, and it's out of the realms of reality for me, because there's just so much money involved with it. One point I thought was interesting, they do raise the argument that Aston Martin understand the importance of storage and maintenance of these living, breathing machines. I don't know, I guess if you want somebody to build you a garage, why not have a manufacturer build it? Because they understand the maintenance involved in these cars, and therefore they can probably do a better job of building the garage. Yeah, don't know. It's a bit of a mad one for me, that, but I thought it was a nice one to end on. So yes, I've been Bleak, thank you for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe. Really helps the channel out if you do leave a comment and like. So yes, I will see you on next week's episode.